Okay, and now we should be live on my own actual channel. Welcome everybody who might not be here yet because I've literally just went live. Do you want to start talking us through picks and bans there while I get things sorted here?
Yeah, so we're jumping in, and the Banzer is super expected. Garen Hog Fudge is a bit of a one trick. The Shaco's a bit surprising. I'm assuming that's either Platodig's or maybe even Clean As, in that I've seen a couple of obnoxious Everfrost AP Shaco supports recently. And then Jinx is Hyper Carry, one of the strongest ADCs now with the buffs. So those are expected bans. Then we have the Seraphine, the Lily, and the Shen, all staple picks in each of their roles. Even with the jungle nerfs, we see that Lily and Udyr, as Udyr gets first picked by for Berncat, they can still clear really fast, so they don't actually get affected too much by the XP and gold. It does hurt them a little, but they're still very much present. And then Sejuani and Kai'Sa are picked off for Platodig and Annihilation. And again, Kai'Sa's super staple pick, super strong. And then Sejuani is one of the junglers we've seen coming back into the meta because she doesn't need gold. She can still clear decently fast, but she doesn't need the gold to be
Sure.
present in the game.
And just give some information
Um,
there. The Ahri is Jhin and the Xerath is Rel. You know, because of course, Britney never makes things straightforward
of course.
when he's picking. But yeah, all these picks making a lot of sense. A lot of strong picks kind of coming through here. Definitely
Yeah.
interesting to see the Sejuani. But I think it makes more sense with the jungle nerfs recently.
Yes.
Because her clear is still like decent because of her passive NRE.
She keeps
But
up
she
with
can be hard
Udyr.
ganking.
Yeah.
Um,
She actually keeps up with Udyr for the first two clears, which
yeah,
is really surprising. It's only after the respawns of the buffs that Udyr really starts to accelerate. But it's with the Jinx gone and Kai'Sa still able to kind of hyper carry. It's a typical protect the carry comp. If I was on Bernpup's team, I'd actually be getting rid of the enchanter supports. So Karma and maybe Lulu. Those seem like the obvious ones because they're not going to pick another tank engage. I don't think for Cleanas. I imagine it'll be an enchanter or enchantress.
okay,
What I'd
yeah,
actually like to see is probably a Malphite in the hands of Nile, because that's where like protect the carry comps kind of fall down, especially without casters. If you can get onto the ADC, it becomes very, very scary. That's where Jinx really gets scared. And Kai'Sa, even with her aura and stuff, she's just perma CC'd. She can get one shot, and it bypasses the front line in particular. And Jhin, despite it's Jhin Rel, Jhin isn't the best at taking care of tanks. So we'll need to see what Niall and Ian taking the top of the mid. They are going another tank. Oh, Pike. Okay.
hmm.
Don't know how strong Pike is at the moment, but
Um, I mean he's not the strongest support, but he can definitely exploit kind of weaker bot lanes. Especially maybe someone like Iron Bulk, who is probably wouldn't be rated like the strongest ADC in the tournament, right? Um, so if you pair that up with something like Kai'Sa, it is still hard to see that can stack her plasma passive off of. And also you have kill threat with especially when it gets to level 6, and you can start trying to funnel a lot of gold into certain targets. And then also he has that kind of roam potential as well with the speed from his W. So definitely, it's not a bad pick, but it's definitely unusual in the current meta.
and I'm assuming that is GP. I hope it is GP.
Hmm.
GP's great. And Orianna as well. This Orianna's just a staple mid laner. There's not much else to say about it. She won't lose you the game. She can win you the game with good shockwaves. Annihilation does have to be scared if he gets hit, if he walks up a bit too far and gets QW to 2-3 items.
Yep.
And the oh, that is wait, yeah, that's the only mid. Sorry, for some reason I thought I could have been going top for some reason. Yoning into the Orianna is actually a matchup I've played. Yone can survive a lot with Fleet Footwork and Doran's shield.
Yeah.
And he's actually, funnily enough, he's what Bernpup's team could have possibly wanted to do, because it's very easy for him to get onto carries just with his ore. He literally just dashes past everything. He's just through it.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's fine here because of the amount of AP damage just from the Sejuani and the Ornn, but they are still a little AD heavy.
Yeah.
And what's scary here is Udyr loves melee champs. He loves being able to just walk up to you and heal you. And I don't think they have the burst to take him down immediately, especially not with like an Ori ball on him, or the follow up maybe from the GP cutting off their escape with the cannon barrage.
Yeah.
But it's hard to talk about these comps because especially with like high skill picks in that of
Yeah,
Yone.
like for like general compositions, I definitely favor what Team Platodig kind of put together, right? As a kind of 5v5 team fighting comp, and also just having that high level of tankiness into targets that don't necessarily have like good tank shred, like you said, like the Jhin. To a lesser extent, even the Orianna, right? Like she's good at like kind of team fighting and zone controlling, but she's not like exactly like a tank killer, right?
Yes. Even with Leandries.
So if they can kind of like if they can kind of keep that 5-on-5 going for themselves, for sure, I would definitely favor their composition. But yeah,
it's really the thing is Kai'Sa just has a lot of problems. She needs to get into through GP barrels. If she wants to Orient, she has to get past Udyr, who could just potentially stun her or bear stance her the minute she goes in. It's not the easy. It's a simple comp in terms of theory, but against Bernpup's team, it's not the easiest to pull off. That being said, Kai'Sa could just run amok.
yeah.
And then, yeah, as I said, Dione does fine into Orianna. He can survive. It's pretty easy to survive most matchups with Fleet and Shield. But despite how pretty much broken he is, what makes him difficult is how you're playing the mid to late fights. He needs to, but with Ornn and Sejuani engaging for him, it's a lot easier for the Own to get in once people start to burn their abilities and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, guys, we're going to go into a quick break while the rest remade champ select goes through. We'll be back to you guys shortly. And welcome back, everybody, to game 1 of Captain's Craft versus with Team Platodig versus Team Bernpup. Xenolot, can you hear me?
Yep. All
Grand.
good.
Just double checking what time are you at there? 26, 27?
18, 19. Oh, you're ahead of me.
Grand. So I'll pause at 30 and I'll let you catch up.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm at 30.
Cool. So on 1, 3, 2, 1.
Perfect.
Grand. So both teams just doing the 5-man spread. No one's going for anything too cheeky here. Maybe Bernpup looking at a possible deep board here on the top side. But at the moment, being gatekeeped by X Frenzy.
Yeah, the Yone can't really contest this though. Otherwise, he could just get Phoenix stand slapped and parlayed. Oh, they're just don't know if I like that word. Doesn't spot a whole lot other than if Platodig for some reason wants to invade Bernpup's blue side. So I guess Bernpup just wanted to get the ward down and get back for the sweeper. Even though I think they could have walked in, although I don't think they had vision on the Sejuani or the Ornn. But they can't do much level 1 to them.
Yeah. So, nothing much happening at the moment. But I do see Annihilation and Clean as possibly going for bus cheese here in try. See if they end up getting caught.
Oh. Imbolg, they're expecting this. Oh, and yeah, SOB and Imbolg actually win this?
At the cost of an ignite from SLB, so they lose a little lane pressure off the back of that. Which honestly is not that bad, right? Because Pike kind of sustains because of the great health. So he's chugged one pot, and as long as he's not playing too reckless for the rest of the lane, like honestly, that's not too bad.
It is bad. Imbolg did not get XP for I think 2 of the creeps, so he's actually behind. Oh, but they are getting the first push, so I don't think it matters. But you can see Imbolg is still level 1 and SLB is level 2. I just thought, I just wasn't sure. I was thinking that as they were walking in, just as the first 3 melees died.
Yeah. So actually quite an impactful enough gank or setup there in the end from Annihilation and Cleanaz. Good start to the lane.
We are seeing the vertical jungling, which is a really, I think it's a good read from Platodig. I think he expected Bernpup to go for the cross invade.
Yeah.
And he is going to come out, but Bernpup's still going to come out net positive since he grabs the Gromp, whereas Platodig just grabs the blue buff. He's getting ganked off top lane, but now it's just going to eat the orange and walk it out.
Yep, not too much worry there for now on the GP. He should have a relatively safe lane overall into the Ornn. Can mostly just kind of farm, keep stacking up the Q procs to kind of get the free grasps, and yeah, it's going to be mostly chilling. Obviously, does have to be careful of those edge running ganks, especially later on when she hits level 6, so they'll have multiple forms of CC to try lock him down.
Yeah, and wave is in a bad spot because Platodig is still top side. I think he's just getting the scuttle now, but the wave is slow pushing into Hung Fudge, so I think Nile needs to crash this pretty urgently. And for some reason, both junglers are allergic to wolves camps, even though they already took their entire other side. The wolves get to live for some reason. And we're seeing the amazing ability that is Yone E, where he just gets to disappear after getting his shield.
Yep, put it in a good spot, so wasn't vulnerable to a gank there from Bernpup. Gets to just walk away, and nice trading up in top lane. Niall's getting quite low off those trades with Hung Fudge.
Is low on the health pots. That is expected. He just runs out of mana, so he can't sustain even with the pots and the grasp after so much time. But it's whether he gets back to the sheen. He does get the sheen, so he is actually fine. That's in his mind, that's absolutely fine. One benefit is for Platodig though is because Bernpup took the Gromp straight away, it's actually back up, so it's giving him more XP and gold, or no, more XP now, because it's respawn 1, so it's higher level.
Yep.
So woo for that minor win for Platodig. But other than that, there's not a lot happening. It's a lot of farming.
Yeah, like we do see a bit of a lead building up here for Annihilation and Bot. They've been kind of using that pressure from that kind of early cheese gank they were pulling off to kind of give him a slight lead over in bulk. Platodig has snuck his way down in the bot side. Possibly looking for a gank here.
Did they see that?
I don't think they did.
But they should see that Pike is giving Sejuani passive stacks because he's melee. Meanwhile, the fight going down and Ignite is back up. Platodig needs to just flash out of this. Oh no, he doesn't! And Burncat just flashes on top of him, and then Annihilation has to flash heal out. But they could catch Clean As. Also burns flash. There's now no summons in bot lane. Meanwhile, we see Frenzy or Ian.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, on a high HP Oriana, when he doesn't really have that much damage in his pockets, yeah, like literally only has a Doran shield, right? So not even the feared Berserker Street build by a lot of people going against Yone would actually kind of look out for. So bit of an unusual all in, but obviously nice gank coming out from Bernpup there, showing his stuff again off on the Udyr. Had a really good performance on it yesterday in the Server 42 final. So surprised to see that it's been kind of left up for him again. So we'll see if Platodig's team can kind of navigate around what the kind of sort of map pressure that he can kind of bring with the speed that he'll be definitely getting later on, because he's probably rushing towards that chem tank.
Yeah, this is about as expected with Udyr just having more pressure in the first 6 levels than the Sejuani.
Yeah.
It's just Sejuani still wants to farm as much as Udyr until she gets her ores done. Meanwhile, Hung Fudge has actually TP. He actually has burned his TP back up. So despite Nile not having any more corrupting pots, he's actually in a good state because he can just slowly pick away at Hung Fudge now.
Yep, and you'll have the TP advantage when it comes back up. So always nice to have that along with the added GP global. Gives you like a lot of extra options around the map to work with. Meanwhile, there's scuffle here for Scribble.
Plato still has his flash up though, so he just needs to. And there's no ult on Frenzy, so they just need to walk it out. But no, they fight it. Oh, but he does get the kill on the Udyr. But oh wait, Oriana has no ore or no mana. So Hung Fudge, he could actually get the kill. And they hand it over to. They get it to Frenzy, but Nile, he does have the red buff, so he should win this 1v1, which Nile does agree with. Well, Annihilation and Clean As roaming up, just to make sure he can walk it out.
So nice trades back and forth. Nice plays coming out from X-Friendly here in the mid lane on the Yone. Get himself a nice couple kills, get that 500 gold lead now over his lane opponent. Which is kind of what you need to see from Yone, right? Because you're taking this pick because you sort of wanted to have that kind of snowball effect, right? Once you kind of hit those 2 items, try to kind of, and then you can add to that sort of like 5-5, that kind of one-mo combo of CC that this kind of composition can bring. You definitely need that damage coming out from Yone to kind of back that up.
Yeah, they're very much as you said, a one-one combo, so they're kind of a press or comp. It'll be interesting to see late game if they send the Yone to match the GP split push, because I don't think Ornn can do that later in the game. Meanwhile, the game does resume. One thing is Hung Fudge did leave his lane in a very bad state. Nile should be able to go up and grab that, so he should be fairly ahead on XP once they both get back into lane. And I think Bernpup can actually grab the rift here for pretty much free, but he's not interested in it.
Yeah, happy enough to just kind of farm away in his own jungle at the moment. There is no dragon for another 2 minutes and 25 seconds, so he could go towards the Herald. He has plenty of time to work with it now. Obviously, maybe just paying respects because he doesn't know exactly where the Sejuani is on the map, so and doesn't necessarily have lane pro right now. Because you can kind of see the way it's starting to push for Yone.
Yeah, this is not fun for Ian anymore, and he just dies. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, X-Frenzy had not burned his ult in the last fight because he had used it in the attempted kill on Ian.
Yep.
So it had just come back up, and he just backed and gotten the Noon Quiver and the boots.
Yep, man,
So
that
with
Berserker
red buff,
spike, it works. Obviously having the Noon Quiver as well helps with that. But the damage is already much more substantial than that all in, compared to when we saw him kind of go in earlier with just Storm's shield. So yeah, X-Frenzy trying to make this pick work as quickly as possible for themselves. Have managed to even up the gold here now. And yeah, ultimately not too much else is going to happen. Bernpup was spot out here, and what lane clearing up those wards, so Annihilation Clean as will play it pretty safe. And you should start seeing resets come in soon because there is the dragon, Infernal Dragon, coming up in 1 minute.
yeah, the Annihilation's team does have a lot more. They have 2 control wards. They just have the vision control already set for bot lane. The only thing is Annihilation does still have to back. He's sitting on 1300 gold, but so is Imbolg.
Yeah.
So they need to get back. They need to get back and get down because they have the TP advantage top side as well. Hung Fudges will not be up. Oh, meanwhile the Sejuani Orr and Ian is dead again.
Yeah, I mean, you'll take that right now. You've got that 5v4 for the dragon, which is in 30 seconds, and that's it.
Yep.
The Orianna will be up in time for that. She will have TP available around the same time, if I'm correct. But it does give Platodig kind of more time to kind of get the river control he wants.
Fights in the bot and the mid lane, so Bernpup is trying to run down. Meanwhile, SLB gets the Orr in, and he clean as misses the Orr, so he doesn't get the reset. Annihilation has to bounce out. But they should just be TPing down straight right now and just forcing X-Frenzy and Platodig off the dragon. Or what I like to see is actually Nile just walking down so he can TP back up. Because even if Ornn gets 2 plates, it just doesn't matter on the Ornn. He's going to do the exact same thing. Annihilation is so low. I really don't like them giving up the Drake here when they should have advantage even with the 4-0 Yone.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there because Imbolg was still very healthy in the Jhin. Actually, was pretty low in the rel, but Berncat and Imbolg alone could walk up to at least give some pressure. And then, like you said, you have TPs available on your solo laners to kind of back them up there.
Yes.
So unusual to give the dragon, but not the end of the world, right? It's only 1 dragon apiece. Your GP is kind of continuing to scale up here in the top lane like a bit of a monster, as you will be later. So, so long as you're not giving up too much else, it's not the worst concession to have, right?
Yeah, and we're starting to see Niall start to win that lane a bit harder.
Yeah.
Even with the steel caps and the Bomby Cinder, he's just starting to get. Yeah. This is where it becomes a not so fun lane. And even with the Ornn, it'll require what they're looking to do now, which is X-Frenzy and Platodig roaming up, but they won't walk over a ward. And Hungford burns his TP to go back to lane, which is okay. I would have liked to actually see them send the Ornn bot side.
Yeah.
And rotate Annihilation and clean as up. And then just walk. You can just walk in with X-Frenzy and Platodig. Because Yone is so strong right now. He one-shots everyone that isn't dude here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just his presence in the lane alone, you can see it's just keeping the Orianna on her turret. Ian definitely giving them a lot of respect after those kind of successive all-ins. A little bit of help from Platodig, obviously. But definitely has to give a lot of respect to X-Frenzy at the moment.
Yeah, and they have the pressure in the bot lane, and Bernpup is actually starting the Rift Herald up on the top side.
Yeah, and should have been spotted out by this.
He didn't actually see, he threaded the needle between the wards, between the control ward and the top river ward. But Niall is just getting run down by Hungfudge. He has 1600 gold, so that makes sense. Yeah, he threaded the needle, they just didn't see him on the control ward, and Platodig backed like 5 feet over. Oh,
Okay.
Xrd misses the ore, and the Rel ore just buys time. Will he live? No, he won't. Dies to the reapplied damage from the Yone Eve, even with the missed ore.
Yep.
Just
And
needed
the
to
pipe
auto.
ore got the assist on that too, so they do get a bit of extra gold in their pockets for it. So they'll be happy enough with that pick. Kind of brought themselves up to 1.5k gold these year now, and a lot of that focused on this Yone, who's got himself 2k over the Oriana. So it's going to be very happy with that. Once he gets
It's
his reset
actually
in here, should have that first mythic coming up.
all on the Yone and the pike bonus gold from
Yep.
the assist. That's pretty much the whole goal lead. So yeah, the Yone will be scared, or the Yone will be scary. So it's exactly as we expected, which is Yone is going to be super scary. It's just about how they can stop him in the team fights. GP poking him down, or Udyr stunning him. Xfinity does have a flash. Yeah, he just needs to flash out.
Nice flash out there to dodge out the Oriana ulti. Won't have it
Gank in the bot lane. Yeah, Involk had no flash. SOB's flash just came up, so they knew that from the kills on Involk, or the kill on Involk by Xfinity just 2 minutes before. So it's a pretty easy gank with the control ward as well in the river. So they're just pretty free.
Yeah, we'll see now. They're dragging up in 1 minute. No TP on Hong Fudge, as you said earlier. You used that to get back to lane, so TP advantages once again with both Ian and Niall. So they can kind of continue to kind of get priority in their lanes, keep them pushed in. Maybe they'll want to look for resets soon. Obviously, you just get back to lane, but Niall, I think, is sitting with about 1k in his pocket, so we'll probably look back after this wave and see Bernpup.
Oh, Xfinity got the raptor. He got the big raptor.
Oh wow, okay.
That's heartbreaking for Bernpup. I'm pretty sure he got it. And meanwhile, an interesting build in the top lane. Niall went the steel caps against the Ornn and the Sejuani, but then he also went Essence Reaver, which is just a Sheen AD item, but that's for lane bullying, which is really interesting that went the Ian getting the pike. Oh, that's
yeah, nice pick from Cleanaz over the wall into the Yone Ore. That was very clean actually. So nice to see that done, and they will capitalize on that with this dragon. So get themselves a slight objective lead here. Ornn also using top lane though.
Yeah, he came right back into lane and just he didn't even know where to clear the wave, so maybe he just missed it.
Seems like he is trying to go all in on Niall here. Meanwhile, a bit of skirmish out in bot lane.
They're looking for this fight. Yeah, they are stronger, I think. Oh, but catches Platodig and Cleanaz, who just immediately jump out. Ian has to burn the TP bot lane. And now they know Yone isn't mid, and he does walk over the sword, so Niall should know it's coming top side. He does have no aura, so or flash or ignite, so he's just really threatening, pushing Niall off the lane, who again is sitting at 1600 gold for the third time. He also hasn't used his TP in since the first time, I think. So he's just not making use of the summoner, which is kind of indicative of what happened bot side.
Yeah, Hong Fudge in a really bad position here. He's going to get collapsed on by 3 members. And has... Oh no!
He fails the flash!
Oh wait, but they don't know.
But they don't know! They don't know!
Is it actually Big Brain?
Wait. No, he cancelled the back!
No,
but now Ian
he
might
has
be cut out.
reinforcements.
X-Frenzy's ult is just back up. Oh! What is happening?
Oh, the absolute juice coming out
Gets,
in the ult.
he gets the ult back, and Cleanaz roamed up as well, so it's just a clean up. What turned out, it was actually just a bait by Hong Fudge. That's what it was.
Yep, it was just too big brain for us, for us to comprehend exactly what he was doing. The perceived fail flash actually just juking the entire team, giving them time to actually just collapse in on and get a massive skirmish. fight off there. Now put themselves up nearly 4k gold in the lead, while Hongfuch gets to get himself a bit of damage here in the third. Probably should look to reset relative soon. Is not likely to get that turret on his own. What does force that to TP though from now, which is always good.
Yeah, it won't be up for the Drake, but I don't think they can test it. X-Frenzy is 9 out of 10 kill participation.
Yeah.
And he's 50 CS up on Ian. It's
has the shield bow, is quite close to getting what looks like the Infinity Edge as his second item, so it's not far off where he would like to be.
Yeah, and meanwhile the bot lane roaming up on top of Cleanaz. Oh, he gets the E prediction off onto Imbol, who just didn't move. But Annihilation flashes on it, and Cleanaz dies to the Ignite, but Annihilation gets the kill on Imbol as well. Meanwhile, another fight in the top lane, which I think Bernpup and Nile just win. Oh, and the turret dies as well, so they can chase him down. And Platodig just goes down. Oh, he missed the E, but he gets it anyway from the Brittle proc. And Rel is here to arrive.
Right for the best, he actually missed the pillar. Wouldn't have gotten that knock-up otherwise. So it's actually a position to hit him with the Petal's Breast.
Yeah.
So they do go 1 for 2, but do get more wins in mid lane and in bot lane as towers.
And Ian died as well. Again, bot lane.
Yeah, so Externity kind of continuing to snowball himself ahead, and they're kind of maintaining this gold lead in spite of having a bit of a losing skirmish in top lane. But they will eventually get this bot here turret. So yeah, even trades really kind of across the board. Actually, kind of more and more in favor of Team Platodig.
They probably want to send the GP to match the Yone, because otherwise it's just going to be kills on cooldown, unfortunately. I do want to talk more about the Yone Orianna matchup as someone who plays both champs. It's just once he gets the level 7, 8, 9 and he puts more levels in his E and it comes off cooldown more and he gets the Noon Quiver and the Zerkers, Yone is a lot harder to deal with because he can actually get the trades off before he can trade with you, because his E is too long cooldown and his base damage on his Q and his audios just isn't enough. But Orianna is one of the best lanes for him because Orianna also is missing the early game damage. You just have to try and poke the first 3 or 4 levels are what's super crucial for the Orianna. You need to try and force him out of lane and get a level advantage. But we saw that it was Frenzy was level 6 when he missed that, when he tried to go all in on the full health Orianna. You saw how little damage he actually did, because he hadn't actually backed, but he hadn't even used his health pot with the Doran's shield. He still had the original health pot.
Yep.
So Ian just hadn't bullied him at all. So he hadn't forced him to use the fleet footwork or the Doran's shield as much as he had, and Yone is as happy as can be just scaling up like that.
Yep, for sure. Has that second item complete now with the Infinity Edge, so has the full crit to work with. Bit of skirmish.
Oh, but the GP ult comes down, and they just actually managed to pop Nile and Cleanaz. And this is a massive win. This was a 2v4 just with the GP ults. Meanwhile, X-Frenzy does get the solo kill on Nile in the bot lane, but that was a massive win considering how little they actually had to begin with and what looked like Platodig's team coming out, what could come out on top. But I guess without X-Frenzy, who's 8 out of the 14 kills, they just don't have the damage.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely would like to have him in the fights if possible. I think they were mostly trying to get maybe some vision control to set up the Baron, but Team Bernpup were just slightly there ahead of the play of them, were able to get the drop. So fair play to them. They will look to grab themselves the Baron here.
Bernpup's might isn't up quite yet. Oh, they know he jumped in.
He doesn't have ulti either, so he doesn't have.
And he used his dash. He used his dash to get out to the pit. And yep, he gets the rel stun. And Nile goes in. Yours in. Bernpup's just gonna run him down. And Platodig's also cut out now. He should just dash over the wall. Hung Fudge is coming up. Yeah, that all started with Niall and Clean as just walking into the enemy jungle. They just need to wait another 30 seconds for X-Frenzy to get more prio in the bot lane. Because as you can see, once Niall answered it, X-Frenzy just killed him. He
Yeah,
got
for
the
sure.
solo kill. So they actually don't even need the TP on X-Frenzy, just keep sending him to the opposite lane of the objective. They actually have to send either SLB or Bernpup, otherwise there's no chance. Because any other two people of Ian, Imbolg, or Niall, I don't think can even 2v1 X-Frenzy at this stage. He has
Yeah, for
nearly
sure.
3 items.
We'll have to see now if they can use the trade of the Baron buff to their advantage. They did lose in bulk during that. So only have the 4 buffs to work with. Now currently splitting up top lane, but as you said, doesn't have TP. Does have the GP ulti. If fight does break out, to use it quite effectively, dropping it right on top of Annihilation, which is kind of Kai'Sa's worst nightmare. Having to deal with a GP ulti that's probably already upgraded with the slow and the true damage.
Yes.
So see if they can kind of make this more kind of global comp work for themselves. In the meantime, bit of a skirmish possibly coming out here in mid lane.
Yeah. Oh, Klina's dash actually got cancelled and he just insta-dies due to the Relor. And X-Frenzy is just stunned in the middle of the lane. And she's going down! And even though Niall isn't quite there yet, he's just arriving now, and now it's a 4v3. And they just have to run down, they just have to run away, because Niall is not in a position to contest any of this.
Yeah, I think that's going maybe just a little too ham with these plays. It's going down very early in all these fights. It's kind of rough when you're the Pike at this position.
Yep.
I haven't personally gone for something like Crowd Claw on him before, but you kind of need to act more as like the secondary engage, kind of slash kind of like, you need to act like an assassin, right? You're looking for
Yes.
like opportunities around the flanks, trying to disrupt the back line, and if you go in as the main engage and you make a flub or even a slight mistake, you're just going to get blown up instantly, right? And then your team's in the 45.
Rel just ultied and he was locked in place.
For sure. Oh, thing that is dumb. Try to mix plays.
Gets the pick on the 1-7 Oriana, but still dies for it.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
she did burn Flash, which is actually a pretty big cooldown. It might become relevant for the next Drake fight.
yeah, but no summoner's on the Pike himself now. He used both Flash and Ignite to get that kill. They get a bit of gold in his pockets because of the ulti passive with the extra gold, but we'll see if that ends up translating to anything here, as there is going to be a bit of a skirmish coming out here towards the dragon. It is still point for Team Platodig, so they don't want to give this up if possible.
They don't need to start it. Ori has TP. GP ult isn't up yet. They just need to wait. Meanwhile, Bernpup. Oh,
it's
he gets ulted. Oh, he doesn't have the flash, and he just dies to the to X Frenzy. Meanwhile, SLB also getting caught by the Sejuani ult, and he has no flash over the wall. So that's Air Soul for Annihilation's team. And even with the Death Stance, X Frenzy can get chunked pretty hard by the GP and the Jhin, just getting 2 or 3 shots off.
Yep.
You saw what happened in the previous fight where they won in the mid lane. He Q-dashed in and he just got stunned by Burncat and was just locked in place while he died. So this is where X-Frenzy probably almost wants to go tank items, because he doesn't need any more help in killing Ilbog, Ian, or well, the two of them. And then the tank items should help him in the 1v1 versus Niall when Niall starts. I'm not super familiar with the 1v1 matchup, but I think once GP gets to 4 or 5 items, it's more difficult for Yone, because once he has his HP, he has the shield bow, and so once he has more HP, he should be a lot harder for X-Frenzy to deal with than the 1v1.
Yeah, for sure. Do see some Grievous Wounds coming in here for Ian now. Has the Oblivion Orb, maybe trying to work that into the full morels. So it does have that kind of utility for his team in these fights to try stop some of the, the abundance of healing that is available to X-Frenzy, right? But
Yeah, I don't think it's the best item though, because you're only stopping the X Frenzy healing. But realistically, that's not super relevant. The healing helps after in the cleanup of the fight. But X Frenzy is just, if he's gonna die, he's just gonna get CC'd and died.
yeah,
It's not about whether he can heal off, it's whether Berncat just bear stances him. So I'm not the biggest fan of it.
yeah,
I also don't like the Ludens either, because Ornn and Sejuani are very tanky, and as we said, Jhin isn't the best tank killer in the game. So they do need the extra burn. Berncat just running down clean as, but he's backing up right into his team, and X-Frenzy gets a 2-man ult on Imbolg and Ian. But he does have the Zanyas, and will he die to the Bellows Breath? No, he won't. Or the Call of the Forge God. Meanwhile, Berncat can just run down Platodig Annihilation.
Oh,
no,
those
they get out.
though.
The Air Soul actually proving clutch there. They trade the 1-for-1.
Might be out of position though.
Apparently it's Platodig out of position, who just gets prayer stanced and brooded by the Jhin. Yeah,
so
they don't need to walk up there because they know they aren't on the Baron. So they just need to wait for Pike to come back.
Yep. Bit of mispositioning punish there. Platodig not going to be on the map, but ultimately they won't lose any objective for it. So not the worst thing in the end. They'll have to keep an eye on the clock as there is an Elder Dragon coming up in 3 minutes. So that'll be a big turn for both teams. Baron obviously still available. So we'll see if what these teams decide to do. There's a lot of red vision invested up here in topside, so they really want to try and get a fight in their terms in this section of the map. We'll just have to see if they can actually execute on that.
You see in the bot lane that I think X-Frenzy is actually respecting Nile now. He's not staying in the lane, so he's grouping for the team, looking for more teamfight based stuff. And Nile doesn't actually have TP, so he's kind of stuck in the bot lane. If Platodig's team just starts the Baron,
I mean, they should, right?
then yeah, they should. Well, they don't have vision of Bernpup right now, but they know they've so
the
much
rest
river
are
control,
stuck in
mid. Yeah,
and they shredded so quickly with a Kai'Sa. I think they should just do it because you can heal off it. You're not taking that much damage.
The danger is they can get womboed themselves in the pit.
Yeah.
Relor into Orianna.
Now you start walking away. You stop hitting the Baron, right?
Yeah, you got the GP ult. Oh, but Rel gets a 4-man ult off, and Call of the Forge God goes wide. Nile is just killing clean as. Oh, and Platodig and Nile are both trying to run down Nile. They get the kill, but X-Frenzy goes down as well. Imbolg is still up. Oh, he dies to the Brittle proc. Oh, and that was such a messy fight.
Yeah, and they're going to go for this, even though they're quite low. Ian could possibly have maybe tried to make them for play, but
yeah, he should TP to the ward by Pixel Brush and just run at them. He knows how low they are. He's just gonna run it. Oh.
Yeah, maybe he's confident in making the play, or maybe thinks the Baron's just lower because obviously they don't have vision of the pit itself, so weren't too sure of like how far off. And maybe they just didn't want to commit to TP to it. Obviously, you do have Elder now coming up in 50 seconds, so maybe important to hold on to that global summoner even, in case you need to like maybe send someone to a side and try have them TP flank, or just try to get some map control back for yourself.
And one interesting thing is Nile did go Immortal Shieldbow instead of Divine Plunderer against the 2 tanks, and he's kind of free hitting Hong Fudge and Platodig a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You saw there that Nile didn't play that fight the best. He burnt his ore too early. He used it to like maybe in hopes that they were all on the Baron, but they weren't.
Yeah.
So he didn't actually. He only ored. I think it was just Platodig on the Baron by himself, and then he went and chased after Cleanaz, who Once Clean as burns his Q and his E, they're on long cooldowns. Meanwhile, they are starting the Elder Drake. It's really, really hard for
It's going
Bernpup's
so
team to-
fast.
Oh, but Bernpup smited it. He got it.
Oh, massive steal coming here. Massive fight coming out.
And Hongfudge just beating away on Ian in the back, but they should be able to chase this down with the Elder.
So it
They
is.
can. Niall and
3v4.
Imbolg are still alive. And Imbolg, despite not talking about bot lane much, does have 3.5 items. But no, they're just gonna walk it out. That is a big way. That is a saving grace for Bernpup's team.
Yeah, Bernie coming in clutch again with the steal on the objective. We do have Elder versus Baron, and there's not a lot of time left there on this Baron buff from what I can tell. So that's going to run out relatively quickly. So they have to be very careful, because if they lose another fight with that that Elder buff up, they could just get wiped and just completely cleaned off the map. Right now they are just trying to get a hard shove into mid lane here.
Yeah, they need to do the split push, but they're just backing off the mid lane, which they needed to like stay and try and get the push in. Meanwhile, they're gonna try and catch Udyr, but not really.
Mostly just seeing some cancel away from him.
He ran away just to run back.
I mean, this is what Udyr does, right? Like, kind of makes you want to second guess what he's gonna do. Then catch you out unawares if his team is nearby. So. Yeah, I mean, right now they have the Baron, but they're going to be forced to kind of defend, as they will. The inside push is going here for Cat. Obviously, there's a decent amount of wave clear from the Kai'Sa, so they're not too scared of the non-Baron buffed minions. But yeah, I mean, still can go either way at this point, right? The Elder's not going to last for too much longer, so as long as Team Platodig can avoid the fight, they're kind of happy enough to just keep soaking up these waves, try to keep their kind of level of vision control right, so they don't get picked off, and then you can just try again. Like, you've got next Baron is 2 minutes and 30, and Elder is 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and they have the Kai'Sa is almost full build, but is obviously still very strong in the late game. So as long as they can kind of keep Annihilation alive and make sure that he doesn't get run over by some of these strong individual picks on the side of Team Birddog, he can be a big hurt for them.
Oh, Clean as. Oh, he sees them with the scuttle, or with the scrying, but they don't know he's there. Oh, they're backing off. They are grouping bot side, but the Elder Drake is gone. I would have liked to see this a minute beforehand. They could have forced the fight, because Extra Energy's strength has been diminished a lot now. He hasn't finished an item, I think, in almost 15 minutes. He finished the Death Stance, but he's sitting on the Last Whisper. Meanwhile, a fight with SOB getting caught out in the Tribush. He's still alive.
Oh, X-Frenzy's
you see
gone
that?
alone.
X-Frenzy just gets stunned by the Bear Stance and just dies in place. He needs the Ornn and the Sejuani. Oh, but the Gangplank ult hadn't been used in that mess in the Tribush. And so they just get Platodig, and Cleanaz again tries to engage by himself and gets caught. And Bernpup and Imbolg can just run them down. Oh, but Bernpup's too low.
Yeah, trying to fight underneath tower here. Hongfudge building a lot of time.
They try and pick it up, but now finally gets caught after going too aggro. And Hongfudge just killed them. Ian is again. He doesn't have the tier Saris build, which he probably should have. Meanwhile, the Warmog's ticking up Hongfudge.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to let him back, right? He can kind of just keep chasing him down. Because now you have the Baron coming up in the next 35 seconds, or his TP available to Hongfudge, so he doesn't care. Like,
he might his aura is in 3 seconds.
Will he use it though? He should save it for the Baron, but he's actually going to try to use it to assassinate Ian here. Will end up getting a kill.
That's actually big. He's dead for the Baron, so it's actually a really good chase by Hongfudge, whose aura is actually really low cooldown at this stage because he's level 18.
I mean, now he can reset. He can TP to the fight. It looks like they are going to start up straight away. although they do not have the Kaiser with them, so they don't necessarily have the fastest Baron Shred right now.
Yone kills it pretty fast.
Yone's doing a decent job in her stead. The rest of Bernpup's team is running over. They are aware this is happening.
They just have to give it and I think contest the Elder. The Baron will help them in the game, but they just can't group the team fights right now. It's too much of a coin toss for Platodig's team. So what they want is the Elder, and that's where they'll force the team fight.
Yeah, right now Team Platodig pushing into the mid lane, trying to get the siege going for themselves. Oh,
SOB and oh, there was not a frenzy behind him. Yes, burn the flash and the ore. And they're trying to 5-4-5, and X-Frenzy just getting stunned up, and he dies. And SOB goes down to Clean As, but Clean As gets caught as well. And Bernpup's dead as well. So that Niall's alive, and the turret goes down. Oh, and he just gets fourth shot by the Jhin.
yeah,
You see the 4-for-4 trade.
Invog's doing a good job picking up these low health targets like X-Frenzy and Annihilation every time with the Jhin kind of high burst coming through. So nicely played by him. It looked like a really good fight for Team Brewdog at one point where they managed to get the wombo off once again when they were all in that chokehold. But again, kind of Annihilation and Hong Fudge especially, right? He's doing so much damage on this Orin. Kind of just sustains through the whole fight and then ends up picking up a lot of kills himself on the back of it.
We talked about it in Champ Selects. They don't have the tank killers on them. Particularly without the Leandries.
Yep.
But Imbolc does have the Lord Dominic's regards, so he is full build, whereas X-Frenzy is not somehow, which is really interesting. He's sitting at the Mortal Reminder. I know, is it? Yeah, the Grievous Wounds 800 damage, 80 item. Which again, I don't think there's enough healing to warrant on either side to warrant.
Yeah, maybe you'd want to see something like GA,
wounds.
right? Where you can have at least that reset up to keep making on plays if you do go down in a kind of scuffed engage. Like we've seen a few times from him now, right? He's kind of like over-egged with the ulti, going in and getting picked off. So
it's the same as with Clean As. They just need to Platodig and Hong Fudge just need to run it down. Meanwhile, we see another fight, and this is a great Orin ult. And X-Frenzy, again, just getting stunned up as soon as the Ora's in and dies. And a big Orianna shockwave coming through. But the health bars are just so chunky for Hong Fudge and Platodig. Meanwhile, Niall dies to Annihilation. Burncat thinks twice about going back in, but he does get hooked. And he does get CC chained to death, and they can just end through mid lane. Yeah.
Wow, Annihilation. I was sure Annihilation was there once he kind of got split up from the rest of his team, but managed to sustain through Burncat, and I think
he actually blast planted into the dragon pit.
Yeah,
that's how he avoided him.
Good job getting himself out of there and managing to clean up that fight. So in the end, Team Platodig will take game one in a really messy back and forth game that could have gone either way.
And Ian is just going to go down once more. So we talked about it in the champ select, but yeah, they just didn't have the means to kill Hong Fudge or even Platodig at this stage, despite him being on the lower economy of the tanks.
Yeah, for sure. Like, they definitely had the right plays at times to keep themselves relevant in the game, right? And they looked really good with their wombos at points. But yeah, as soon as like if you mess up that wombo once where you're not picking up like the hard carries like Annihilation at the fight as well as X-Frenzy, who was kind of going down anyway, right?
Yes.
It's kind of GG because then Annihilation has all those beefy boys to kind of keep him alive throughout the fights and can kind of give him the zoning that he likes. We'll have a quick look here at the end game, see what the graphs were like. Massive damage coming out from both Niles, I should say, in that game. And Invulg doing an impressive amount himself, although Hong Fudge doing like the force mode damage in the game. Not too surprising considering like just how much he was kind of doing in those fights.
Yeah, Niall's damage is super boosted from permanently queuing Hong Fudge throughout the first 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see the Orianna with the 17k damage, which is less than Bernpup. It's 400 more than Platodig on on the Sejuani.
Yeah,
So yeah, we
not the greatest of starts for Ian. But given that the nature of the game was so kind of scrappy and messy and back and forth, like who would you give your kind of player of the game to for game one?
it's got to be Hung Fudge, right? He was just it might have been the pick more so than the actual play.
Yep.
But we saw mistakes from everyone, I think, in this game. Bernpup probably would just from the steal alone keeping them in. Um, Niall just had Niall was close, but had just a couple of questionable focus in the game in the lane in the team fights.
Yep.
But Hung Fudge is just he literally won them the entire last 10 minutes of the game just from being unkillable. He was just able to run into everyone.
Yeah, I mean he played out the fights decently well. Had kind of good just good damage, right, from a tank. Like I know it's Orin, but like he was elite. He was landing a lot of his skills. Like he was able to like pick out like priority targets. So good
And
job for game one. And
great Call of the Forge god at the end.
Yep.
They were all stuck in that line between the Drake pit and the red buff, and he just managed. He got almost everyone with his call, despite missing that one where it just went off in one of the previous fights. But other than that, really good from Hung Fudge.
for sure. And with that, guys, we are at the end of game one. Teams are going to get ready themselves for game two, so we'll take a short break and we'll be back to you guys shortly. And welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of Team Platodig versus Team Bernpup here in the Rivalry Captain's Draft Group B. After a tumultuous Game 1, we can say at the least, Xenolot.
Oh yeah, it was a bit of a fiesta, to say the least.
Yep. So seeing a couple bans come through quick and fast. The Garen banned away against Hong Fudge. That's not too surprising to see, as he is the Garen one-trick. Meanwhile, Seraphine and Udyr banned against Burncast, so they are respecting the deer this time around.
We are seeing the adaptions coming out from both. They banned the cast in the first wave, which is interesting. I was hoping they'd get the Yone out as well. They have that in the third ban. They just want to... Yone, while not being crucial in the late game, was really important in the early game to keep Platodig's team in there's the ban. It kept them in an advantageous position when they really shouldn't have been, particularly with Burncat on the Udyr and Nile pressuring Hung Fudge a lot in the top lane. So they should have won the early game, but because Yone got so strong, he was just able to pressure everything. You know what? We have the Shen coming out as well, which is just a staple, a really good team fight pick. Can go into the jungle or go into top lane or support.
Yeah, for sure. Also, a pretty strong pick for Hong Fudge in particular. It's one of his fallbacks usually when the Garen does get banned and he wants more kind of global pressure. Can team fight pretty well on it, so would expect it to see it go to him, but as you said, could be flexed into the support position. Meanwhile, Nile counterpicking, potentially with the Mordekaiser, as they believe themselves it is going to go to top lane to Shen. So looking to kind of attack the global and try to bully him out in the lane.
Yeah, so I can already see one minor problem, which is they pick Jinx. They might go the Caitlyn. Oh, they could have gone a full protected carry comp again with Jinx as the ADC, because already with the Mordekaiser and the Misfortune, they would have had a serious problem getting to the backline and getting through tanks.
Yeah.
Since Misfortune is also not the best tank killer.
Yeah, and for sure, like Jinx herself has actually been quite strong as patch already, right? A lot of ADCs are saying that she's probably one of the best. So as you said, unusual that they don't opt to that, instead going for the Caitlyn, which we still haven't really seen come back in spite of like the consecutive buffs she's been getting. Just because the itemization doesn't feel like it totally suits her, right?
Right.
Her kind of spikes are just a bit all over the place, and she doesn't necessarily have like much like tank shred. Although at the moment, there really isn't any tanks per se on the side of Burncat. But you do kind of have these kind of pseudo tanks, right, with the Hecarim and the Mordekaiser, who get like lots of shielding and a bit of HP to kind of keep them sustained.
Yeah, and then there's the Echo pick as well, which is a lot safer in the lane, but we saw X-Frenzy win the lane in the previous game against Ian, which was kind of expected.
Yep.
But Echo is not a pick that'll win lane. It's super neutral, where you're just kind of going to go even with it. It's really hard for Echoes to win lanes. They kind of have to... the enemy has to mess up quite a bit rather than you outplaying them to get kills, or it takes a lot of jungle pressure. So I'd like to see something more aggressive. And then they banned the Sejuani and the Nautilus on the side of Bernpup to get rid of the tank engaged stuff, and then the Rel and the Orianna, which were just played in the last game.
Yep,
then
for sure. Seeing the Relia Halberd possibly as a counter here into the Echo, or can be flexed to the top lane too, perhaps. But we'll see where that ends up going.
It should be going mid. I don't see the Mordekaiser going into the mid lane. Because Mordekaiser deals a lot with the tanks in particular, so he always does well into like Malphite, Ornn, and Shen.
Yeah.
Because they're typically armor based, or they prefer to opt into armor. So he deals with them a lot better. And then again, what I was expecting the last game, but with the Enchanter support in Karma. Now we see jungle here. Maybe Jervin as a default pick. That's
Oh,
Is that the Echo in the jungle?
yeah, that is a flex that Platodig can play. He has played a lot of it in mid lane, so I imagine he could translate that into the jungle. Uh,
Yes.
Gives them a bit more flexibility, and now they have a bit of an unusual setup, right? You kind of got your rides as your kind of scaling mid lane pick. That can set up CC in lane for these echo ganks, but it is like double AP, which can feel a bit rough. So it does mean like maybe the Aurelia can kind of buy a bit of early MR and like something like the Merc Treads, right? So she can kind of have a bit of an easier time getting out of those situations.
And then the final pick in Sona, aka Discount Seraphine. Um,
Yep.
Again, Enchantress support, but it's really good here because everyone benefits off all the buffs through Moonstaff or Moonstone and Staff of Flowing Water.
Yep. Plus Sona's own, also your own buffs like the the speed up and the damage amps she gives can be really nice, and you kind of have as you said, like a Seraphine light ulti coming out too, where you can kind of have a lot of zone control. So we'll see if they can make that work for themselves. It looks like they are remaking lobby. I wonder if one of those was a placeholder. Oh,
They
lobby
couldn't. They couldn't swap. I was wondering. Platodig had the Caitlyn still,
yeah.
so
Okay.
I
That makes
was
sense.
very confused.
That's not. No, that's okay. But yeah, just overall, what are your thoughts on the kind of overall compositions from the two teams?
So Narrations is very different from the last round, the last game, where they were like very, other than the Shen in the top lane, they were very much just frontline for Annihilation. And then X Friendly got a little out of control in the early to mid game, but this one's a lot safer. All the picks seem more safe rather than aggressive. It's hard for Echo to get into a lot of these fights, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember exactly what Bernpup's team comp was now already. I've already forgotten. I was watching the Sona. I'll need to see them. Yeah,
So
again, yeah.
it was they had the Misfortune, they had the Sona, the Ekram, and the Aurelia in the mid lane. Whereas you've got Shen, Rise, Echo, Caitlyn, and Karma on blue side.
They're out of place, which is why or Platodig's team is out of place, which is why we're seeing the picks messed up a bit, but it's all good. Yeah, the Rise, I actually really don't like the Rise here.
Yeah.
He's short range, and Bernpup's team has very easy ways to get onto him. Bernpup can get onto him fairly easily. Ian can get onto him. He can get CC'd quite, even just the slow from Misfortune. So what they should do from Annihilation's team is a very deep investment into the 1-3-1 split push, or even 3-1-1, where you send Frenzy into the mid lane, Hung Fudge and Shen onto the weak side, and then just have Annihilation, Cleanaz, and Platodig looking for pressure in the other sides. But that's like their strong suit, I think, is just they need to get pressure in the side lanes and then try and get surprise Rise ultis or Echo picks.
Yeah.
Because I think Rise even doesn't do the best into the Aurelia. He harasses her a lot in the first couple levels because she can't match the E spam, the EQ spam once she tries to go up, and he's level 2 is super deadly. The root is one of the scariest level 2 CCs in the game. People do not respect it enough. But just having I think it's a 1.5 second root, a minute or 2 minutes into the game, and that's why I would have liked to see the Jarvan as well. They could have used that a lot. They could have abused the level 2 a lot more. And the Jarvan would have been really good here because it locks down the MF, and it gives them the engage that Annihilation's team is missing, because Shen does not want to E in. He wants to E taunt someone to after Orin.
Yep.
He wants them to engage on him or on his team.
Yeah.
He ores in and
Or
then
act
he
as like
taunts
follow
them.
up CC, right?
Yes.
So that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, overall we're kind of liking the composition coming out from Burncash just a little bit more. I think it gives them a lot more options, right? Between making
Yes.
skirmishes and team fighting. It just kind of makes a lot more kind of cohesive sense. But we'll see if they can end up putting that into practice, guys. We'll take a short break and we'll be back to score.
Yep. I'm at 15 now.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Perfect.
And welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of the Rivalry Captain's Draft between Bernpup and Platodig. As we just go straight into a pause, as is tradition, after trying to get through all this production stuff. And yeah, not expecting too many level 1 shenanigans here with these kind of compositions that are set up. But we'll see what these things end up developing into.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't see anything happening because Shen does not want to take the taunt level 1, and Echo does not. Echo. Does Echo take his W? I think I can't remember what he takes clearing the jungle. As we come out of the pause, other than that, not a whole lot of level 1.
Yeah, I'd imagine like Echo
PCs coming out.
takes a Q, if anything, right? Because it gives him like the most wave clear, and kind of you get the recall damage as well from it.
Yep.
So it makes sense, I think, for the psych up. That's the Echo Z, the Z drive passive.
Yep.
So-
The thing about the jungle matchup though is Echo does have a harder or a slower clear speed than the Hecarim.
Oh, for sure.
So if it becomes a very PvE based game where they're really what both teams are looking for or should be looking at is bot lane. Since the dive potential, that's one thing, is the dive potential on Annihilation's team is really scary. Rise realm warping everyone in, the chrono break from Platodig on the Echo, and the Shenors gives them a lot of tools to survive in the dives
Yeah,
against
for sure.
the immobile ADC in Involk, and again the immobile support in that of SLB,
Yeah,
who go ahead.
sorry, and especially with like obviously the jungler that came in this patch, right? It does
Yeah,
make Platodig even life even harder to clear with the Echo, who isn't necessarily known as the one of the fastest clear champions. So we'll see how much that ends up affecting here, as there is a very strong level 1 coming in here from Clean as Annihilation.
we're seeing SLB getting chunked immediately with the. I think she's still the lowest base health champion in the game. Maybe Yumi has beaten her, but Sona does not have a lot of HP level 1, so any spells from pretty much anything will chunk her pretty badly.
Yeah, for sure. So Annihilation getting that as get themselves a bit of control here in the bot lane. Meanwhile, in top, Niall has put in a lot of pressure here on the Hong Fudge, kind of thumbing them off the entire wave.
Yeah, there is a lot of CS, so he should be fairly even so long as he catches it all. Does catch most of it. We just see a blue buffs there from both junglers as well at the same time. Yeah, we should see the early action, if anywhere, should be, I think, mid lane, considering Niall is so pushed in the top side, and Platodig started blue side, so he can't get much done in the bot side. But with Xfrenzy is slowly pushing in to Ian, so hopefully Ian can save this wave or keep it out pushed, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, just trying to look around the map to see where Butchons can look at. We do see Bernpup has pinged on the top scuttle, meanwhile Platodig is taking the bot scuttle, so no skirmish is going to be happening over either of those, and yeah, just kind of fairly chill early on.
Hong Fudge just taking a beating in this lane.
Yep.
And he knows he can be that aggressive because Bernpup's in his top side. Oh. And Platodig cancelling Ian's base. That's kind of sad. What's interesting is Ian did not take the Inspiration secondary. We're on Aurelia, which is the Timorph Atomic and the Biscuits.
Yeah.
So he is going to suffer from a good bit of mana problems. Meanwhile, good bit of poke coming out in the bot lane, which can hurt him against Xfrenzy if Xfrenzy tries to play a game of sustain, which he looks like he is doing because he got the corrupting pot on his first back.
Yeah, the Rise definitely a bit of a scaling pick as well. Obviously opened up tier 2, right? So he is mostly looking to just kind of get those free spells onto Ian to kind of start stacking that up. Kind of rush the mana moon, not the mana moon, sorry, the
Seraphs.
The Seraph's brace as early as possible. But otherwise, again, things fairly quiet across the map. Obviously, the Caitlyn Karma lane coming into effect here. They give themselves an early place in this 2v2 lane. It's obviously very hard to deal with the poke that comes out from those two champions, especially for MF. And Sona too, right? Because even though she has a bit of poke in her own, she's very squishy.
And Berncat did walk over a ward, but Xfrenzy just... Xfrenzy does get the phase rush and the flash out. But Bernpup did walk over that ward in the bot side of the river, and it was called out. Oh, but counter gank by Platodig, but he doesn't get the stun off, and Ian just misses it.
Yeah, and in that previous gank there was flash, so honestly Xfrenzy is not going to feel too bad about that one.
Oh,
although
Xfrenzy is dead here. Oh, Platodig, he has to burn flash here, I think. Yes. But he dies. Does he die to ignite? He does.
Oh, that is not what you want to see. 2 early kills going over to the Aurelia. It's going to feel
Yep.
pretty rough for the side of Team Platodig. TP coming in from the rise, tries to avoid losing out on the wave. And yeah, good early plays coming out from Ian and Bernpup.
Yep. So we're starting to see the solo lanes hit level 6 as well. But we're seeing the opposite of what happened in the last game where X-Frenzy got the early kills on the Yone and it kind of went out of control because Orianna just can't deal with the Yone as well as because she just can't push him out of lane. Whereas the opposite is true here where Ryze has a lot of trouble dealing with the Aurelia because of how easy Aurelia gets onto him. So especially what Ian should be looking to do is burn the phase rush from X-Frenzy now. If he ever uses his phase rush, then Ian only needs 1 or 2 of his passive stacks to really go on X-Frenzy. Because with the ults, the Q, and the W, he doesn't even need to hit his stun, and he should be in lethal range he will be in lethal range against the Aurelia. So X-Frenzy just have to play super scared here.
Yeah, meanwhile in top lane, bit of a CS lead building up here for Nile and Mordekaiser, continuing to kind of bully out Hong Fudge as much as possible. Which is kind of what you want to see, right? You definitely want to oppress the Shen as much as possible. You know, force him out, make him use his TP, make it so that he can't necessarily ulti as easy to kind of make a proactive play across the map, right?
Yep.
So good to see him look for that. Hong Fudge is moving down the river, could be possibly looking for an ult angle, but there isn't anyone really on the map to make a play with, so he's just going to get himself a deep ward here on the turtle.
This is where once Platodig hits 6, as you said, through the pressure in bot lane. They already have 2 plates in the bot lane, but Bernpup is up here. He is level 7, so he does have the ult. Yep, and Annihilation just going to insta flash away, and Kleena's flashing away as well, and taking the... Oh, but Nile did cancel the United We Stand? I'm trying to remember the name of it. So the shield does come through, but Hong Fudge does not get to follow through, which I think actually benefits Hong Fudge. Bernpup, Imbolg and SLB had left the fight, so if Hong Fudge had gone through, he would have just been left stranded in bot lane. He would have to use his TP to go back top, I think. Because I think the fight was done. Like Bernpup burned both flashes, and that's a big win for him, which he's happy with, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, now popping the ulti is going to get a lot of damage here on the Hong Fudge. Don't not necessarily know if he has the kill pressure right here. Hong Fudge does have
pretty
flash.
Close. The flash Q once the shield goes down, he doesn't even need to flash, he just gets the solo kill.
Yeah, so huge pick there by Nile, continuing to pile on the pressure with the Mordekaiser. 1 kill up, will get the wave shoved in here for himself. Hong Fudge does have TP to kind of get back to lane, but that is a global tool down for himself if he does opt into doing that. So, yeah, they'll play one now.
But Platodig starting the Drake, which I don't think they even fully are aware of it. Yeah, Ian was pinging to check it, but they weren't actually sure. And Hong Fudge made it halfway to lane and then TP'd, which is really interesting.
Yeah, not necessarily what you want to see. But meanwhile, Berncat is looking at the Herald to pick up for himself. So it's obviously have Prio in mid and bot as there are retests going through here for X-Frenzy and Platodig. Actually, I'm cancelling, possibly looking for a play here.
Yeah, as I brought up earlier, Ian having the mana problems, you kind of just want a last hit on Aurelia and you only start queuing when you're looking for the all-in. But X-Frenzy, even with the tier in the corrupting pot, is gone low on the mana as well.
Yeah, so
I'm surprised Platodig didn't look for that. It could have pressured, and Ian did want to back, but he could have pressured him off a lot sooner. And I don't think they're making good use of the early route, which is pretty much should guarantee Echo Stun. in the early levels, and they should at least be burning Ian's flash fairly regularly, even with the lead he has.
Yeah, just taking a quick look here at bot lane. Still a bit of a lead here for Annihilation and Clean As. Not a huge amount. Obviously, there is a bit of extra gold in Annihilation's pockets because of those plates. Bernpup is looking down here though.
And they did burn the flash, and what he baited him into clearing the ward. He gets the unstoppable onslaught on Annihilation and Clean As.
Yeah, very well
but
played there.
they get the heal and the flash as well out of Annihilation. Clean As. You know what? Platodig gets the stun on Ian, but this is where I was saying earlier, the Aurelia is getting really strong and operates fairly easily in these team fights and easily 1v1s Platodig, even with the flash out. And
Yeah.
Annihilation, oh no.
Yeah,
This is,
it's
you'd
not
hate to
looking
see
good.
it as an ADC. Bernpup just, yep. And it goes over to the Aurelia as well, who's now 301.
Yeah, for sure. Ian looking very strong here on Aurelia now. 4k gold lead nearly building up here for Team Berncat. They do get the... Was it the Herald spawn for... Yep. So give themselves even more gold. Not the entire third yet, but they should grab it here for themselves. Actually may not have time.
No, they don't. I think Imbo can actually die here, and he will. Oh, he burns the flash. And he doesn't even need to. Oh. Oh, and the Dark Harvest proc from Platodig, finishing it even through the Imbolg's heal. He just greeted with his summoners and needed to burn them immediately to get out once he saw Clean As running at him.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, gold lead still ballooning here, mostly for Team Berncat. See if they can kind of translate that into any more objectives for themselves. Nothing on the map at the moment, obviously, but big buys coming through here. You have the Blade Running done for Ian. You've got the Divine Thunder done for Berncat on the Hecarim. So any more fights that break out, you would expect them to win because they're just so far at the mark at this point.
Yeah, so they should be looking to make a good bit of work happen. Ian should just, if Xfrenzy is playing too safe, he just does what he did there in the previous fight, which is just get the prio in the lane and look for pressure in the bot lane. It is unfortunate that they didn't get the turret down. I think Berncat popped the Herald just a little too early. You want to pop it at about 2200 HP is what the Rift Herald kills turrets at.
Yeah.
So it's just a little over 2 plates. And that's where so you want to, and because it gains resistances with every turret that, or every plating that falls, you want to wait as late as possible. So they do miss out on the first turret blodge, the plating, and just the turret gold itself, which is a good bit of gold, even if it's spread between a couple of people. And Ian misses the E, but this is where I was saying it doesn't matter. He can just kind of run down Xfrenzy, and if he had the Ignite up there, that was a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, but again, pressure still being applied. Does force Xfrenzy to back out here and has cost his flash, so Ian continued to get the waves shoved in. They'll have priority here on the dragon. TP used by the Rise, get back to mid lane. So yeah, they should secure themselves a dragon here.
Platodig is in base, but they don't actually know that, and Berncat just solo pushes on to Annihilation, and Hungfudge just ulting straight down.
Yeah,
not even entertaining it.
Yeah, I mean they get the Xenolot for free, right?
Yep.
Now they don't necessarily have. Ooh, X-Frenzy.
Oh. One thing is Ian's ult is still down. Oh, but the unstoppable also hits 3 of them, and the bullet mixed with the bullet time. And Platodig is. Does anyone see Platodig there? No one was hitting him.
Yeah,
they were all just running alongside him. They thought he was on their team, maybe.
I guess. So, fortunately, Platodig does go down, and so does the dragon. Berncat's now having a 4k gold lead in their pockets. Going to be pretty happy with that. Should secure themselves the bot turret finally after that failed push earlier. And yeah, they're just going to go back to their lanes. They're happy enough to kind of keep snowballing the leads that they have. And they're not feeling too pressured at the moment, I would think.
Nope. Yeah, so there was just too much damage taken before the Drake fight even happened, before like the actual team fight had started. The bullet time had come down, and Bernpup had just kind of run into Annihilation and Clean as, and just gotten a lot of damage off before the fight. Even though he did hit the 3-man unstoppable onslaught afterwards when they pushed up. After that much damage is taken, Annihilation's team just needs to back off, because it was Bernpup's first Drake of the game, so it's another 15 minutes minimum before they can get the soul. So it's not that important. You just need to pick the next fight.
Annihilation taking a lot of damage from Turp, but does manage to secure themselves it in the bot lane and doesn't end up paying with his life, so he'll be happy enough with that.
Exo Frenzy and Platodig are moving down, but I don't even know if they win this 4v3 or if they know Burncat here. Oh, Platodig is just walking. Bernpup? What is happening? Is Platodig invisible?
I'm not too sure. I just don't think he cares, honestly, right? Platodig's just kind of doing no damage.
And a good great bullet time from Imbulk to scare off Clean as Annihilation. Yeah, that was the second time.
Honestly, I think it was just more a case that they wanted to make a pick on X Frenzy, right? And they just kind of went for it.
Oh, and Bernpup hadn't even used the Unstoppable Onslaught on the X Frenzy kill.
Yep.
So he was just able to use it here, and Platodig. Oh, getting the 700 gold shutdown off of Berncat, or Bernpup.
Hey.
Really nice.
Big shutdown going on to Platodig there. Nice play. Unfortunately, still a lot being lost across the map though. Ian getting a lot of damage here on this mid lane. Hurt should go down pretty quickly. Likewise in top lane. Niall eventually taking out a turret, and then another turret probably going down here bot lane, right? So kills and gold still going very much in the favor here of Team Berncat. Nearly an 8k gold lead for themselves, and they're going to be pretty happy with that. But still the Herald on the map, right? There's not even the Baron available, so they can just pick this up more or less for free and maybe look for cheeky play to make with it.
Yeah, I do hope Bernpup should go pick up the second Herald for free. I usually don't like the second Herald. I think the big use for it is actually to get priority in mid lane when Drake spawns. So you actually use one objective to secure the other objective.
Yeah.
Because of the strength of dragons, which it is Ocean Soul, which if you can't tell off the flowers in the map, which is really scary for either team, but particularly for Annihilation's team, considering they're on the back foot now. So the next two Drakes should belong to Bernpup's team, which means they have to contest the Ocean Soul.
Yeah, for sure. Do you see both ADCs matching here in the bot lane, which is a bit unusual, but
they're sending 3-man up here, but I don't think they can do anything here.
Yeah, I mean, Niall has he can just that realm any single target and buy himself a lot of time, right? There's teams nearby. Meanwhile, Ian's gone on to Platodig.
Yep. Oh, and the E from the Mordekaiser just misses Platodig.
Yep, but they did manage to burn the Shen ulti there, which is a pretty big cooldown to give up. Now, it looks like Team Platodig will have the inside track here on this next dragon. It is up in 45 seconds, so...
Just go top with the Herald. You take an inhib. You take an inhib.
Yeah, like, obviously they can trade across the map. They also still have time to just walk over, right? Berncat, look for an angle here.
Oh, and he's just going to get CC locked. Oh, and he has to ore out. Oh, Hung Fudge, meanwhile, getting caught by the Ian's stun. And where is the rest of Annihilation's team? There they are. SOB flash ults arrive and gets the Hung Fudge and Annihilation, who just have to run. But meanwhile, Bernpup's just in the middle of 3, but he's just too strong to scare, and Platodig just gets insta-killed by the Aurelia.
Yeah, for sure. And meanwhile, Niall is just able to free push here in the top lane, just wailing away on that inhibitor curse. So, yeah, I mean, 10k gold lead at 20 minutes is quite substantial at this point of the game. X-Frenzy trying to trade some damage here onto Null. Don't think he really has too much kill threat here. Null will just end up walking away.
Yeah, and you see shutdowns on all the members of Bernpup's team. Oh, the Grump did die. Okay. Jungler knowledge. Just rocking away from the Grump as it died. I didn't realize it would die to the burn. But yeah, it's 2 kills, 10k goal lead. Looking pretty doomed for Platodig's team already, not gonna lie.
So that definitely have a bit of an uphill battle here, right? Because they've only managed to finish their first items, whereas their second items now coming in for members of Team Berncat. They kind of need to try to stall out the game somehow, I guess. You know, try to funnel gold into, especially like the Rise, right? Like he's kind of like your big late game pick.
Yep.
In terms of like teamfight scaling or even split push options. But he's probably the furthest behind of anybody here on the map currently. So need to see him start trying to get some funnel some CS into himself. Meanwhile, Team Berncat are kind of just free to push in the mid wave here, start getting priority around this Baron and start threatening that.
Yeah, and as I said, we were talking about the Echo pick earlier, but I'm not really sure what it fits in, what it accomplishes in this comp. Meanwhile, they are starting the Baron, which should be uncontested. Annihilation's team does get vision of it, but Nile is just going to scare off X-Frenzy, so they're just going to give the Baron for free, which they kind of have to at this stage.
Oh, now using that realm in the bot lane has locked down X-Frenzy, who's trying to dodge out.
And oh, the United coming out, and Clean As and Annihilation coming down. So Nile gets just too over aggressive. Once he noticed that they weren't contesting the Baron, he just needed to back off.
Yeah, for sure.
Push.
Does go down for his troubles, gives over a 700 gold shutdown to X-Frenzy, which he was going to be pretty happy about that, right? We'll hoover up this CS mid and then probably look for the reset. Maybe get a second mine off of that. But yeah, meanwhile, Berncat's team just looking to maybe look for potential pick here in the jungle, trying to push out their vision as much as possible. Don't really have the waves set up across the map as you would like, right? There's a lot of people concentrated here in bot lane, but like you can see there's a push in mid lane going against them.
But now using the TP to save the creep.
Yep.
And Bernpup just oring right onto the turret, and bullet time coming out as well, and melting Hongfudge, who just was in it the whole time, and a great Orianna, or to hit 3 people. She just gets every reset she wants, and she doesn't even need to hit the stun.
Oh no, 2 autos on the turret. Now Ian will end up going down.
Oh,
to
he was on the trap, so he was just autoing the turret.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Don't think they're gonna mind too much though, as they do still get a massive fight win with that brute force dive, and will probably get themselves at least 1 Nexus turret here.
X-Frenzy just losing 90% of his HP from, I think it was a Misfortune Q. Oh, Imbal nearly down to the Gale Force crit from Annihilation, but surviving through the heals from himself and SLB. And this feels like the beginning of the end. They're just gonna back, spend their gold. They increased the gold lead not too much, by 2k, but considering Niall and Ian both went down and gave... Ian still has a 300 gold shutdown, so Ian gave a 1000 gold shutdown and still has a 600 gold. So they gave away nearly 2k in gold, but they're still positive about 2k from the Baron play.
Yeah,
a little less
and at this point,
now
like,
that they're resetting.
Even though there's a lot of money going over to Niall, he's not really doing too much with the Caitlyn now until at least he hits that 3rd item, right, where he's probably going to buy himself the Infinity Edge. And even then, he's still not going to feel great. Like, you kind of almost want your 4th item at that point, you know, the rapid fire, more than likely. So he's going to feel like in a pretty rough spot at the moment. He's trying to hoover up CS here in the bot lane. Meanwhile, Berncat's team can just pressure the dragon here for free. Hongfudge is pushing out top lane, does have TP available and the ult.
We are seeing like the crazy advantage come out in the jungle. Bernpup is 4 levels up on Platodig.
Yeah.
right now. So he's the highest. He's highest in the game, tied with Niall, the solo laner, who's 80 CS up on his own lane opponent.
Yep.
So yeah, and they don't have the wave will just melt, but yeah.
I mean, Burn goes for a
Kate,
dive
Niall
once
is-
again.
Oh, oh, and Ian. Oh, Ian got the Q reset, so he's just jumping onto Annihilation, but he does get CC'd to death. He's just got slowed too much. And Niall puts Clean As into the death realm, and as soon as he comes out of it, gets popped by Frenzy. Oh, and Bernpup diving just a little too far. Oh, but
Oh,
Platodig
no.
goes down to X Frenzy. But oh, sorry, Platodig and X Frenzy both go down, but Inball goes down to X Frenzy.
Yeah, so they will
but
manage to just barely hang on
yeah.
to their base with that. But 2 inhibitors down, and there is. They will just lose their entire jungle for it. There is no big objectives for Bernpup team to take, as Baron's not spawning for another minute 40, so they will be able to just stall out for the moment. But again, in a very, very rough position, 11k gold down.
Yeah, hanging on by the edge of their teeth. It was just Ian went too far deep into the bot side turret. He took way too many hits, and he just got kited by Annihilation and Clean As. Aurelia, speaking of last game again, as Aurelia is just like the Yone, where she wants someone else to engage in front of her, and Burnpup did that, but then Ian took. Burnpup went down the right path, and Ian just took the left path and was like, "Good luck with that," and just tried to insta-kill Annihilation and Clean As, but he can't do that due to the shields. And the Gale Force in particular, which just really hurts the reset on Ian.
Yep.
Because now he needs his E or his aura reset to kill Annihilation. And he does have the wit's end against his team, which does have a decent bit of magic damage in that of Rise and Echo. But it doesn't help him pretty much at all against the
Annihilation
Halo,
caught in no man's land.
Oh,
Barely
but
able to
he
kite
does
out.
survive. Oh, but no, Burnpup's just too strong. He's just able to run him down, and Clean As goes not long after. And then the bullet time just finishing Hong Fudge even through his Twilight Shroud. And
Yeah.
they're just able to run them down now.
Yep, that is the game end for Team Burncat here. Valiant defense coming out from Team Platodig, but ultimately the goal lead was just too immense at the end of the day, and they will end up tying up the series here, going 1-1 in this best of 2. So, well played by Team Burncat. Definitely had a lot more solid kind of team comp coming into game 2. Kind of maybe some questionable draft decisions, you could say, coming out from Team Platodig this time around. Maybe go back to the drawing board in terms of like how you kind of set up your jungle and your lanes, perhaps.
I think the draft itself was fine, but I just don't think they executed what the draft wants to do. They had the pressure with the Caitlyn and Karma in the bot lane for a good bit. They got 2 plates in the first 10 minutes, but then they just didn't execute the dives I was predicting in the draft. Rise Echo and Shen are just so amazing at getting the dives off under turrets. And with how much poke Karma and Caitlyn were getting down, I'm just surprised that they never fully dedicated to trying to get on top of them.
Yeah, but for sure they felt like they definitely lacked some engage. As we are kind of saying, like the Echo wasn't really doing the damage that we would want him to do. So he kind of lacked both the damage and the utility you'd want, like from either kind of jungler, right? So end up kind of being the worst of both worlds now. But you know, maybe could work in a different game. We'll see what ends up happening later on in the tournament. But yeah, player of the game for game 2. What do you think?
Let me think. It's got to be Burnpup. He got so far ahead and was just so aggressive with his ults and everything. And I feel like Ian did get ahead, but it was more because of Burnpup and the 2v2. And yeah, I think Burnpup just, pardon the pun, but ran over this game with the horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah. And I think a big part of this pick as well was Niall just shutting down Hong Fudge, who was so crucial in the first game. The counter pick with the Mordekaiser was massive. He just made Hung Fudge not able to do anything.
Yep. Definitely wasn't able to make those kind of game changing Xenolots either a lot of the time.
Yeah, they had to be used a lot defensively because
Yeah.
of how far Bernpup got ahead, so they
Yeah.
just weren't able to make plays with them.
For sure. So yeah, good games from both teams, especially scrappy kind of first game. But saw a lot of good things from both teams today. So looking forward to the rest of the tournament. But thank you, Zeno, for joining me on the cast tonight. Thanks
Thank you for
everyone.
having me.
Thank you to everyone else for tuning in and watching. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Good night.